I think I have one more video in me before the year's over. I was doing a broadcast with Howie Darkstar on DJ and TV, hanging with Howie on Monday, and the topic of the show was what it was like in the old days to be a DJ. We shared our stories, and the last question that Howie asked the panel was, does anybody have any regrets? And everyone said no, until he got to me. So, of course I have regrets. So what would that be? It kind of caught me off guard. And before I go into the explanation of what my regret was, I just want you guys to know that I mean no disrespect to anyone. I'm just trying to tell my story and let you know where my headspace was. So, my regret is that when I was in my teens and 20s as a DJ, I had it in my head that the responsible thing to do was to exit this business gracefully before I turned 30. Move on to something else. Find something else. Now, the reason I thought this is because, well, you got to remember the world was a much smaller place back then. There was no social media. You know, it was just kind of your local area. And for me, it was Milwaukee. And I knew a lot of cool young DJs. Fantastic DJs. But everyone who was kind of around 30 or over 30, they were never the cool DJ. There were a couple, I guess, but none of them were white guys. But neither here nor there. I would look at DJs who were approaching 30 or over 30, and they all looked a little dated. Their sets sounded very dated. Their setups were dated. Their clothing, their hairstyle. And I would see pictures of these guys. They'd say, hey, look at this guy from, back in 1981. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he looks fantastic. He's beautiful. Look at his hair and his clothes and his setup, and he's doing this cool party at this club. Now here he is today, doing the hokey pokey at a wedding reception. He looks like a clown to me, and the scary part was that I don't believe this guy's self-aware of this. He thinks he still looks like a rock star. Well, he totally doesn't. I never wanted to be that guy. I personally didn't want to feel that way, and I definitely didn't want to put my audience through what I felt like these DJs were doing. Maybe this is a game for the young. Maybe when we get to this 30-year plateau, we leave and we let the new crop come in and take the reins and do what they do. So, I did kind of exit the business before 30. And I didn't leave completely. I never left completely. I had the occasional mobile event, but I wasn't doing clubs, and I wasn't doing it on the regular. It was, I don't know, maybe I did 5-10 events a year, I had a day job, though. I was an assessor for a while. I was in the car business for a while. And I eventually got back into it when I was, I don't know, probably 33, 34 years old. Because I realized that it was my calling. This is what I was supposed to be doing. Because I really wasn't a very good assessor. I wasn't the most successful guy in the car business. Nothing else I tried I felt like I was doing well with. But this thing, yeah, I'm not doing what anyone else in my market's doing. I'm doing different sets. And I'm approaching my emceeing differently than anyone else is. My setup, I couldn't go out there with the same setup I was using at 21. Had to be contemporary. Did my research. What's the new stuff? What can we bring to our audiences to enhance the experience with sound and lighting that's new? What can we do to make our lives easier with hauling this stuff around? When I was young, I used to get so angry with the DJs who just kind of used the cheat code, the older DJs especially, and it was the same thing that would be equivalent to today's Mobile Beat Top 200. It's kind of the same thing over and over and over and over again. So I would try to inject songs that people weren't thinking about that the audiences would like and make it unique. And I worked out at the clubs and I would discover this stuff. It was easier to take chances at the club with music than it was at someone's wedding reception. So, every Friday I'm working the club and I'm trying new things. And then I'm going out and doing these mobiles on Saturdays. And I'm bringing what I learned at the club to the mobile, and I'm doing something that no one else was doing. And it was so cool, you know? So if you fast forward to today, I'm in my 50s, and I still feel like I'm relevant up there. If I felt like I looked ridiculous up there, or I wasn't bringing it anymore, I would exit this business. But I still feel like that I have something to offer. With old music, with new music, with having empathy for my audience. And I look at the setup I'm using, which is pretty contemporary, you know? Going back to a club tonight. Same club I worked at when I was 21 years old. They're happy to have me. And I think I'm going to put on the best performance I've ever put on in that club. Because I've got so much more experience under my belt. I'm going to play some cool stuff. I'm going to play some cool new stuff. I'm going to play some custom remixes that I've personally made that I think are going to go over really well. I'm going to mix on the fly. I can still do this. And I don't think I look like a clown up there. I'm a professional. I'm respected by my audiences. I'm respected by my clients. I'm respected by my peers. And that's such a good feeling. So I wish I knew that when I was a kid. I wish I knew that just because I was an older DJ, I didn't have to be that older DJ or look like those guys. I could do my thing. Now I know it. I wish I would have known it then. Probably would have gone a lot further. Probably would have pushed myself to do better things. But here we are. Ain't over yet. So, anyway, that's my last video of the year. Have a great new year, everybody. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your likes and your subscriptions and your comments. As long as you guys keep watching, I'll keep making these videos. Stay tuned for the New Year's Eve gig log. Probably on Sunday. We'll see you then. Practice and enjoy.